Good morning, y'all. This is Chapter 2 of BA Tortuga's Redemption's Ride. Chapter 2. The dream was the same night after night. Unnatural coal-black eyes staring him down, long bony fingers dropping a rough hank of rope around his neck. He could hear the damned horses snorting and stamping, the scent of brimstone and fire strong and bitter in the back of his throat. Hawk distantly remembered cussing up a storm, letting them know accounts that had hold of him know he weren't going nowhere easy. They could take him to hell, but he'd go fighting. The bite of the rope in his throat weren't distant, though. It was a deep burn that broke him, bone deep, left him to scream for a handful of heartbeats that lasted for a blasted eternity. Hawk woke long before the sun did, gasping and choking a little on the scars, the dream, shuddered in his bedroll. Shit and shinola. He'd surely like to sleep through to the dawn one time. Just one time. Or two. Three'd be better. He rolled out and headed away from the little light that bank fire gave to make water. He heard Fred wandering up, hooves clip-clop familiar. The soft nose pushed roughly on his shoulder. Yeah, we'll go. I'm awake anyways, ain't I? Well, that'd be a shame, you having to go on and leave. You have no idea what my engine can do with breakfast. Shit a mile. That was the preacher, and he'd been so quiet out in the dark that he'd never even heard the feller. He pushed his pecker into his kit, buttoned up. Didn't reckon to wake you, Padre. And he hadn't reckoned to steal nothing, neither. A soft yet harsh laugh trailed over, and a tiny light flared as the preacher struck a Diablo, the smell of tobacco smoke coming strong all of a sudden. You didn't wake me. Not by a long shot, son. Couldn't sleep, so I'm out here like a haint. Hawk hit his shudder and nodded. It's hell, when a man of the cloth can't rest his soul. Well, I suppose it's part of my penance. Want to smoke? A small tobacco pouch resolved itself out in the dark. He could see Preacher's face in outline now under the flat hat. Thank you kindly. He nodded, throat tightening a little in anticipation. It burned now like it never had before. You're welcome. They said little while he rolled his smoke, and Preacher just handed over the burning butt of his own cheroot so Hawk could light up. Once he'd blown out a stream of smoke, Preacher sighed. Nights get long. Ain't that the truth? Truth be told, days could be long too, that damn sun beating a man near to death. You should stay on with us a bit. We're moving on ourselves. I could use a man to ride with who still has a tongue and don't fart so much. Preacher said, surprised him a bit with the offer. You ain't worried about taking strangers in? Either the man was loco or stupid. Depends on the stranger. You'll do. The chute sailed to the ground, making a tiny arc of light before Preacher stomped it out. Dawn was just starting to creep up on him, the sky going light in degrees. Fred wandered over, snuffling and snorting at the man before nibbling at one sleeve. Well, Fred approved. Well, hello there, you're a fine one, you are. Looked like the preacher liked Fred all right, too. You've a fine horse here, son. Or he's got me. We haven't come to terms with that quite yet. This time the chuckle had not a hint of bitterness. Well, now, that's how I feel about this crew I've got, right down to the damn dog. Hawk looked back over his shoulder at the crew. Yeah, he reckoned. How a man came to be with an engine, a foreigner, and the ugliest dog on earth, he didn't know. He thought maybe he could stand to learn the story, though. They're a right odd bunch, yes, sir. They are, so you willing to come make it one more? He could see the gleam of the man's eyes now, too. I reckon y'all are eating better than I am. You'd best not expect me to pray. He didn't. No, sir. I don't ask that of anyone unless they want to. I have my reasons for doing what I do, but I used to shun it myself. A sharp bark of laughter told him they were back to bitterness. Hell, sometimes I think I made a mistake myself. He didn't have a thing to say there, so he didn't. Shit. The pretty little Padre, believed or not, weren't even a bit of his problem. Well, shall we go on and see what Bear might start stirring up for breakfast? Since we're riding today, he won't let Abraham eat beans. That would be a help. He spit into the ground, hiding his grits. Well, praise the Lord. Preacher slapped him on his back. There, you see, we might just make a praying man out of you yet. You get Abraham and his donkey both a passing gas on the trail, and you start turning to God. Remind me to ride upwind. I'll do that, son. They rubbed shoulders a little as they headed back to camp, the soft clop of hooves following them. Felt odd, but not bad. Preacher had a bracing way about him, a sense of shared trouble. Heaven knew he didn't have no lack of trouble. Might be nice to have some folks to share it with. Sure enough, when they got back to camp, he smelled coffee. Real coffee, not that damn chicory. Be nice to have some of that to share, too. The Injun grunted at him, hovering over the stirred-up fire. He tipped his hat, polite as he could be. He hadn't a bit of grub against the Injuns, not one bit. I'll bear it smells good already. Have we any of those biscuits left from last night, or are you making new? When the Indian waved a cast-iron skillet, he figured that meant they would get fresh, and the preacher sort of made that right by nodding. Oh, I see. Well, we have the makings. The silver-haired man smiled at him. We get a good many gifts of food. We have honey, even. I got some salt pork and some hardtack to pitch in. He had a wee stash of white sugar, too, and the tiniest little pouch of lemon candies, sour as an old woman and sweeter than a choir boy. Well, that sounds fine. If you stay on with us, you can help set up the tent. That's all I ask to share the food we get. You got a look from those eyes tilting just so, with that and no borrowing trouble. I ain't never borrowed even a little of it. He earned it, full out, no question at all. Of course. The Indian grunted. The dog barked, and that damned Englishman farted. That, it seemed, was that. Y'all have a great day. Much love, and bye.